Hello friends and family, you're welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. This channel facilitates a lot of projects and also lessons concerning .NET applications. So that is either mobile app, desktop app, or web application. You can have a list of lessons and a project in the playlist. So check the playlist and you're going to have a lot of these. Also, you can subscribe to this channel so that as soon as a video drops or lesson drops, you get notified. Now, in this video, we are going to talk about a little bit about swap view. I made a video recently, and that video was about how to use context menu in desktop application. Now, if you're using mobile application, then you go in for the swap view. You know, with desktop application, swap view doesn't work over there. So that is the reason why we need to use the context menu. By mobile phone or the Android or iOS, swap view works. So we can use that. So we're going to talk about the basics of this and how to utilize the swap view in the mobile application when creating a project in .NET Maui. So I'll leave the context menu view lesson under the description. So if you want to learn how to use this context menu in desktop application, then check the description and you're going to have the link over there. This is what you're going to do. You're going to create a model. You're going to create a model whereby you're going to use a collection view to display a list. Then we can apply the swap view to the list item in the collection view. So let's start. What we have to do first is we have to install a package known as community2kit.mvvm. So because you want to use the model view model, that is the MVVM architecture in this. So all our methods or all our commands are going to be bound to a method in our model view model, and that is the view model file. So you see I have a project created. So if you haven't created a project yet, create it. .NET Maui app, and that is a version of 7.0. And I have the project run. So defaultly, you see we have this as a default one, and that's what you can see. So I'm going to close this. Now to install package, let's click on dependencies and I'll go to manage NuGet packages. It seems I've installed this package already. So click on the browse tab and search for community2kit.mvvm. So if I go to dependencies and now Android and now go for packages, that is the first one. community2kit.mvvm, the current version here, that's the 8.2.1. So once I have this installed, what I can do here is we have to create our model. And here, let's create a model for a user. So with this user, we're going to need some attributes or some properties under this model, maybe ID, name, email, and maybe country. We can do that. So let's create it, right click on the project, and now let's add a new class. And let's name this as user. So this is user. And it's a class. Click on add. And now this class, it seems I have a user file here. So we're going to use ID, name, email, and country. So let's see. Now we turn here as public. So we need, so that is an ID. And now the next one, we need name. So that is string name. Now the next one, we need email address. So that is string. And we say email. And the last one, we're going for country. So string. And maybe we can go in for country here. So there is a model that you want to create. So now we have this. Let's save this. Let's create our view model. So right click on this. Let's add a class. And now this class, since you're creating this page for this main page, we're going to use this main page view model. So we say main page view model. So main page view model. And the next thing that we can do with the main page view model, while it is openness, we can clear this because we don't need any of this. Now let's set here as public partial class, and this has to inherit from observable object. So observable object. Let's create a constructor for this. And now this constructor, let's say load data. Let's call this method. So load data. Now let's create the method here. So we say private, and that is void, and we say load data. So before that, let's create public, and let's have an observable collection. So let's do it raw. So public observable collection, and that is this. And this collection is for user. So users, then we can set this to new. So in here, let's go to our model here and let's grab this. So, and let's paste it in our application. So we are adding a user here, new user of ID, name is the name. So let's change the names here. So now we have this, we have our data ready. Now this user model contains, or this user collection contains a list of users when the page loads. Okay, now this main page view model, let's grab this, let's bind this to the main page.xml.cs file. So let's inject this here. And now let's bind it. So we say binding context is equal to, we bind it to this. Now, the next thing that we can do here, let's go to Maui.program. Let's register the view model. So we say builder.services.add. Now here, we want to, anytime that we call, we want to add, let's say transient. And we're going to use main page view model. Then we need another one. So builder.services.add store transient. And now let's go in for main page. So now they are registered here. What we can do next here is let's go to the main page XML file. And now with this, let's clear all this because you don't need any of these. And let's use grid. So this grid, let's have row definition, and let's give it a star to calculate and take over the screen. Now in here, let's have our collection view. So this is our collection view. Now this collection view, we are going to have an item source. So we have item source, and now we are going to bind this. But before we bind this, let's include the namespace. So XMLS, then we say view model, or let's give it as local. So with this namespace, then we can go in for demo. So let's specify the data type. So X data type, and we call for this variable local, and now we can use main page view model. Okay, Now in here, so we can now bind this to the users. As you can see, we have users. Now let's specify the item or collection view dot item template. So this item template has to go with data template. So with this data template, let's specify the data type for this. So we say X data type, and now we're going for this local, and you can have user from this. So we want to grab this user model that we've created. So in here, let's start with our swap view. So let me start here. That's our swap view. So with this swap view, what can we do? So let's start. Now let's have the swap view. So we go for swap view, and that is the tag. We have tag open and close. And here let's call for a frame. So this frame, we want to set up maybe margin to this. So let's set the border color for frame. So border color, and we want to use this hash or gray. Aside from that, we can have our margin, maybe 5, 5, 5, and 0 for bottom. Now in this frame, let's have our label. So label, and now let's specify the text attribute. And now here we are going to bind it to name from the model coming up here. Okay, so we see that all of these are in the swap view. Now the next thing that we can do here is, we specify the container, and that's what we have. We have to specify the swap view, which type or where do you want to apply. Swap, you can swap to left, to right, to bottom, and to up or top. So let's specify it here. So we say swap view, then dot. We can now go for, is it bottom, left, or right? So let's choose right items. We want to swap it to the right. Now, so wait here, let me show you. So we have, you can see we have right item, we have left item, we have, let's see if we have bottom items, and the last one, we have top items. So all these positions, you can use any of these. Okay, so now we are using right item. Now, with all this swap view, when you go to the documentation, I think I downloaded the PDF, and we see there is a swap view. So it tells you the swap view define the following properties. We have left item, right, top item, bottom item. We have threshold and the type of a double. Also, it tells you how to create a swap view. So that is it too. That's what you are doing. So you can follow this to create a swap view. And also, you have the equivalency sharp code. Now, how to perform or create swap items within swap view. You can also do that with an example here. So with all this documentation, you can just go in there and I'll read more about this. But let's forget this documentation and I'll follow the basics here. So what you have to do is, once you have this right item, we can specify the swap items. This is a swap right item. So what are the swap items in it? That's what we are going to do. So in here, let's specify swap items. Now this swap item is a collection. So you can have more than one swap items. So swap items. And now in here, we have to specify the specific swap item. So swap item here. Now this swap item, we must pass in name. So let's say maybe first is get name. So we have first is get name. We can specify copy the same and now paste the next one. Maybe we can say delete. And even this has another property. So let's say, is it destructive? We can set it to true. Now we have these two swap items here. So let's save this. And now let's see. So let's build this application and see what we have now. So you can see that our page is now loaded. Now let's swap to the right and see. So here nothing happens. If I swap to this, nothing happens. But let's swap to this and see. You can see I have this, and I have delete, and I get name. Let's do same to this. I have the same thing over here. I have the same thing over here. You can see I have the same thing for this. Now if I click on it, it returns. It returns. Now let's see, for this swap item, let's set this. The item you can see, let's rectify this. So let's set this to, let's say, -3. Let's save this. And let's see. Okay, so we have get name. Let's move to something like 5. So let's see. Okay, so you can see we have the get name, and it's a button, as you can see. And as you can see from here, we have get name, we have delete, and these are the swap views, as you can see. Okay. Now what we are doing here is, let's see. So whilst you have this bound, what is the next thing that we can do from here? We can specify a background color. So, you know, for delete, we can say background color is, let's say, red. Now save this, and you can see that as soon as I drag this, I have the background color here as red, and you can have the background color for this too. So background color, and I can say that this is maybe do we have light blue? So now you can see, well, not that one, so we have to cut this. Talking about the first one. Okay, so let's see. Like, so I have the blue, the get name blue, and now button as well green. So with this, I can now have the swap view. I can click on this and now click on any to get the name. Okay, so whilst we have this, or we can set the background color. There's also 2 modes in this. There are 2 modes, and the first one is the execute, and we have the reveal. The execute one, this executes the button as soon as the user swap. So here, there's no button click. So let's say as soon as I swap like this, it gets executed. Okay, and this one, the other one too, it has a reveal. So drag this and make for this to get reveal. So how do you specify this mode? We can do that in the swap item. So here, you can see we have the mode here. And now this mode, you can see we have the execute and the reveal. So here, number 1 is the reveal. The execute, as soon as I swap, it gets executed. So when you have only one button over there as a swap item, then you can use the execute, like the delete. As soon as I swap like this, it has to execute the delete button and I'll get the file or the text deleted. Okay, now it is not only this. We also have the swap behavior or invoked attribute that we can also specify. Let's see, swap behavior on invoke. So when you swap, do you want to wait for this automatically to close it for you, or do you want to close it yourself, or do you want to remain open? Defaultly, I think it is for close. So let's see if it is remain open. Let's see. Now here default it is closed, so that's why if I drag this and I click on the button, it closes. Okay, so let's see. Now you see, since I use the remain open, it is remained. If I even click on the button, it remains. Now let's change here to close. And let's see. So as soon as I click, let me save this. And let's see. So I click on this button and it gets closed. As you can see, you click on it and it gets closed. So that is a property that you can also specify. If you want to use code to close it, you can use that. Or you can bind the close button over here to the MVVM to get it closed. So using this swap view is very interesting in application or mobile apps. So let's say you don't want to use this, but you want to have a different format. Can you do that? Yes, you can customize this swap view. Okay, you can customize this. So how can you customize it? Let's see. So in here, where we have the swap items, and that is this swap items, this is a swap view. So this swap item, we can just, let's do something like Control K, let's comment this. Now in here, okay, so down here, let's specify frame. So we can use maybe a frame for this. You know, you can see we have our swap items, and now we have to specify swap view in our swap items. So let's say the swap view item, and now within this swap view item, we can now use frame. So this frame, you want to have the background color of maybe green, and you want to have the text. So let's see, we have background color of green, and also we want to set the width. So we can set request to maybe 100, and we can set the height request to also 100. Now let's put it in the vertical option as center. And the next one, maybe you can have a corner radius of, well, let's use 50 to get it round, and maybe padding could be 0. Okay, now let's have the label. So the label here could be, so you have label, and now this label must be in between this. So let's have label, and now the text that you want to use here, maybe delete, and you can have text color as red. Right, now this text, you can have vertical option, center, and we can have the same thing applies to horizontal option as center. So when we save this, let's check what we're gonna do. So unless you restart this, so let's save this and I'll restart the application to see. Okay, so we have an error here, and okay, so let's add this. Now let's run it. So now let's see. Now if I drag this, let's see what happened. So you can see I have this symbol over there. As you can see, this delete button, and now I can customize it the way I want it. Okay, so I can customize this. You see? So I can customize that. Okay. Now the next thing that we can do here is we want to bind the click event to this MVVM method. Okay. So how do you bind click event? So let's go back. So let me comment this, and let me uncomment this one. Okay. So let me display here. So to the width height. Okay. Now how do you apply that is the click event to this? Let's see. Now in here, let's go to our MVVM, and now let's create a method. So we have public, and that is the async task. Let's say this is display name. And now you want to pass in this user model as user. So we can say if user is equal to now, then return. Else, let's display something. So we can say await shell.current.display alert, and I will call the name of the model. That is the user model. And I want to display user.name. Then we say OK. So the data that you're going to click on is going to pass as a model to this method, and we want to display the name from this model. Let's assign an attribute as relay command to this. Now we have this. Let's go to the main page. Now the main page, you can see we have the first method, that is a get name. So let's add, first of all, let's add command parameter. And here we can use binding. So binding means we are binding the specific model that we are. We say we are talking about data type here, it is user. So the specific user that we are, we click on it and we want to bind the whole user to this. So this user comprised of the name, the ID, as you can see from here, email, country, ID, and name. Now let's specify command itself. So this command, we're going to have binding, and here we're going to have source. So with this source, there's going to be relative source, and that is this one. And we're going to use an ancestral type. And here we specify X with a type. And now the type here, that is local, because that's what we stated over there. So we have local. And now this local, we want to specify local/main page view model. So aside from this, we can specify the path. Now this path, there's no suggestion here. So let's go to the main page view model and this. So display name. Let's grab this. Let's go to the main page. Now let's paste this here and add command. But that is what we're going to generate it. So we have that. Okay. Now let's save this. And let's refresh and see. So let's run this again. So let's see, now it is open. So I'm going to swap. Now I have get name. So let's see, you can see it's giving us the name over here. And if I click on this, swap, click on this, and you can see we have Rosemont Addo. Okay, and the same thing applies to this. Now let's see the delete. So let's see what we can do here. If I click on delete, what should happen? So let's create a method in here to remove it. Now let's say this is public async task, and now we say delete user coming in with this user, and here we have this user object. Now we can copy this, then we can state it here. So if user is null, then return. Else, this is what we are going to do. Users dot, then so dot remove, and here we want to remove this user. Okay, so we want to remove it from this collection view. Okay. Now, or even here, so let's take off the async and now let's see, so public. Okay, so here's going to be async task. Now let's add the relay command. So delete user. Now let's go back to the main page here. And as you can see, as we did for this, we can just make a copy of this. So let's grab all this. And now let's paste it. Let's paste it to this delete. We paste it here. Now here we change this to this type. So we go back to the main page. And now we grab delete user. And we're going to paste it here. Now let's save this. And now let's run this again and see what's going to happen. So let's swap this. Now delete this. And we see it is off. Let's delete this. And it is off. Delete this. It is off. And this one get name. And we have the name here. So let's see. So get name. And we have the name here. We can still get the name again. We still have the name here. And we can delete this. And it is off. Delete. And it is off. Okay. So I believe this this lesson has explained well the basics of swap view and how to integrate it into your Maui application. In desktop 1, then you have to use the context menu. Check the description and I'll leave the link to that lesson over there. You can have a look at it and it will help you to integrate the context menu in your application. That is for desktop. For mobile app, then use the swap view as the lesson has explained it today. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you like what I'm doing, you can give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel as well. As soon as anything drops, you can have notification to watch it up. Take care of yourself, and I'm going to catch you up in the next video.